We welcome you to Conversations and Coffee on this first day of April. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We are here virtually and by virtue of our creative technician, Lindsay Lasanti, who brings us the Zoom connection. Lindsay recently graduated from Otterbein University. And Katie Fisher, our pro at getting the word out for our Cultural Arts Center, located in downtown Columbus. Katie is a graduate of Columbus College of Art and Design. Katie and Tom Bell-Yule, our main gallery coordinator, has created the exhibit, Ekphrastic Fantastic, with 73 artists who together give us 146 works of art created from photographs provided and then distributed to the artists. Great write-up in the Columbus Dispatch by Nancy Gilson. It's an amazing show. Ekphrastic is a Greek word that means the verbal response to a work of art. Fantastic are the works in the exhibit, and we are delighted to have Maureen Clark, our artist today, who is a beautiful painting in the show. Maureen, we're so happy to have you with us. And you're going to be telling us about your work that comes from that photograph, huh? Great, we'll look forward to it. You describe your paintings as having a focus on hope. City scenes, seascapes, they bring light and movement and move from chaos to calm. Included in your paintings are still life and flower and nude portraits. This focus on hope and utilizing light and color in your paintings says, you say, that hard times are temporary. Work evokes calm, happiness, optimism, and joy. Theme of your paintings, huh? You're a self-taught artist, beginning with painting on the side of the house. As a child, I found that on your website. Your mother enjoyed that, huh? A side of the house. Tell us about that. How old were you?
Oh, I don't know. I think I had to have been 5. We had white siding in the childhood home that I had, my parents had, and it was all white. So I took out some markers and decided I needed it to be colored.
So that was the beginning. That was the beginning. You just knew this is what you wanted to do.
My mom said she should have known then that where I would go. That's, yeah. She said at the time it wasn't that funny. It wasn't that great, but
yeah,
it's nice to look back on it now.
Did you ever take pictures of it?
Of
your art on the side of the house?
No. No. I think my mom, I'm one of 4 children and we were all 2 years apart, so very close kids. So she had too many things going on to worry about taking pictures of my art.
The story is wonderful, and we have a vivid remembrance through you of what that could have looked like. So you've created, as a self-taught artist, many opportunities, a studio space at 400 West Ridge, and you've created multiple murals across the city. We can find your mural work in Gravity Columbus, River and Ridge, Victory Ministry in Whitehall, and past murals are on your website. In 2016, Maureen was celebrated as Columbus's Ones to Watch. She's been commissioned to do live paintings at weddings, parties, musical performances. Maureen was an adjunct teacher in Powell Village Academy and then stepped into teaching high school classes, huh? Wonderful. Your first painting in your nude series was featured in the Designer Showcase at the Columbus Museum of Art in 2017. You have a temporary installation at Canopy Hilton downtown, a permanent collection at Riverside Hospital commissioned by Ohio Health. You're interviewed for the Ohio Irish American News, and your painting graced the March cover of 2021. It's beautiful. I looked it up. Love it. And congratulations. You're honored. We are honored together. Are we not, Maureen? We are honored to be together today to share your hope and your love of beauty through your works of art. So take it away. Lead us, Lindsay.
Well, currently we are, I'm in my studio. This is because of the pandemic. I had to move my studio home. I was trying to keep it at 400 for quite a while, but things weren't opening. We didn't have Franklinton Fridays or events. So it just made sense to move home for now. And I'm actually really enjoying it. I get to hang out with my cat. This painting that you're seeing here is my recent painting. I am one collection that I constantly am working at is flower still lifes. So I will purchase flowers from Kroger, usually in the manager's bin, the discounted bin, and take them to my studio and paint them. And so this is a new, I think the first series of flowers were flower and mason jar. The second one, I did a collection. It was a flower painting a day, and that was for the month of December, and that was a few years ago. And then I did another collection of flower still life paintings where the background was much more busier. With this new collection, I wanted to do the dark background, kind of a nod to the Dutch style of painting, the older style of painting. So having that black background, I felt would really just accentuate the flowers and focus more on the flowers than having all the busyness in the background.
Gorgeous.
Really happy with the way this one turned out. And it actually just sold.
Oh.
It's a bonus.
Yes, I believe it.
This one is called Mast. It is 48 by 36 inches. 48 by 60 inches. So it's quite large. It actually is hanging in my living room. It has been for the past year. It's one of my favorites. I like this painting because I tried a different technique. I used the paint, watered it down and layered it a lot to create this misty fog that's in. It's the painting, the picture never really does it justice. When you see it in person, you can really see the layers and it's much more complex in person. But this one of my favorites just because I tried something different. And sometimes when you do that, it doesn't turn out. This one turned out, so I'm very proud of it.
And you emphasize that theme of chaos to calm. And you
right.
Can feel that.
Right, and I think the chaos is more, there's so many brush strokes and there's a lot going on within the painting. But there's also a calmness in the nature of it.
Yes.
So, and that could go either way. Sometimes it could be a chaotic image that you're starting off with and you can make it calmer just by painting it calmer.
Is that acrylic?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. I like acrylic paint just because I work fast and I like to layer. So to me, using acrylic, it dries, I can layer, and when I've used oils in the past, I have a lot of oil paintings that have not been completed because I just moved on to another thing. My mind just kind of, I'm constantly inspired by things. So I like acrylic. I like working with it.
Did you have mentors? Because you did not get a formal education. You chose not to. People were saying to you, oh, you could go here and you could go there. And you say, no. Who were your mentors? Or did you just come to this?
Well, I did take a lot of classes in high school. I took all the classes I could take up into fashion design. And then senior year, I was able to do independent study all the year because because I had taken all the art classes that they were available. So I definitely learned through that, through my teachers at Watterson. I went to Watterson High School. I also had my uncle Glenn went to Columbus College of Art and Design. And so growing up, he had paintings in his home, and that was something that was familiar to me there. I also had a best friend whose father, Roger Genter, he was a working artist and a teacher at Franklin University. And he had, at one point, with other artists, he had a store in Grandview where he sold some of his work. And he did a lot of painting on furniture in he did like Van Gogh style. So I guess growing up, he was kind of more a mentor than anything because I was over there all the time. So, it was always, he always fascinated me.
That's great. Great teachers, huh?
Yeah.
And then you come to this beauty.
And that is, a lot of my learning has been just through studying what I see. So I'll Google images and I'll just kind of do my own research on things is what I do now. I've had other people kind of come into my life and it inspired me in different ways. But a lot of it's been my own, just spending time when I'm not working on something or when I'm not out doing something, just at home, just kind of getting on the internet and doing as much studying and exploring as I can on there. So this is a mural. It's a mural that's outside of the Vanderelli room. A.J. Vanderelli has an outdoor gallery space that she started once everything kind of closed down last year.
Where is it?
Sorry?
Where is it, did you say?
It's at the Vanderelli room in Franklinton.
Oh.
And this piece was a collaboration. This was the second collaboration work that I did with Aaron Hobgood, who used to be my studio mate and is a photographer. So he did this photograph of a friend and overlaid it with an image of flowers. And I recreated it in my own vision on 2 4x2 foot plywood boards. And these were put outside the Vanderelli room and they still are there. And this one, the first collaboration I did with him sold. This is the second one. It's still available, and I give a percentage of my sales to Aaron since he was the.
How do you interpret this? Tell us where
So
this.
So this one is titled Hope, or sorry, Bloom. This one is titled Bloom. The kind of, this is my expression from all the protesting and injustices that have happened, is particularly over the last year, even though it's not just this past year. So this is my interpretation or my artist's voice on it, I guess, to paint a black male with these flowers. Kind of the idea is that there is hope, and that there is a chance to bloom, and that kind of give some hope there, I guess.
It's very moving.
Thank you.
I'm not a painter, so I don't know what, when you paint outside, can you still use the same acrylic paints that you use inside?
I do, yes. A lot of people use house paint, like exterior house paint. I'll use that sometimes. A lot of times, kind of whatever you have around, or whatever. If you're at an event, if there's some free paint to use, you use that. But I use the same paint that I use with my painting. This one and the previous one that I did for that outside gallery space, I did a varnish, a mural varnish on it. So just to protect it from the elements.
Thank you.
So this one is located downtown in an alleyway. I did last year around March, when things started to get a little strange. I started painting a lot, and during that time I was videoing my painting process and speeding it up so people could kind of see how it works, how it goes along. And this is one of them. So this was actually the only one of these I did. I had planned on doing a lot more, and I may revisit it at some time. I kind of like that it's the only one. We'll see. But the thought of this was, when things started closing down and everybody was inside and people weren't out and about doing things, it seemed to be a return to nature a bit, because people weren't running around. There weren't a lot of cars, and you seemed to find nature in places that you really didn't before. It was almost like they came back to claim it. So this was kind of a nod to that, I guess, or a celebration of that. I kind of like, this deer that's just hanging out downtown because it can.
I love the alley of downtown. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But this one is the one for the Culture Arts Center exhibit. And I would say the name, but I'm having a hard time with it. So for this show, we were given an image of something at the Culture Arts Center that was around an image of a stairway or a broom or whatever it was. And I got an image of a painting that someone else had made. And it was a lot of different squares of different colors, kind of all woven together. And when I saw it, the first thing I thought of was the coast of Italy or Greece, with those homes stacked, and when you step away from it and blur your eyes a little bit, it kind of has that very blocky kind of imagery. So that's what I did. So because I have not been to Italy or Greece, I had to use images off the internet. But I took several of them and kind of pieced them together. So I had a collection of probably 10 images, and I just kind of took little bits from each one and kind of created my own piece off of it.
I love the texture of your paint in the gallery. I mean, you see that in the gallery, you know, it just jumps out at you. Lindsay's going like this because she knows to experience that same, oh, amazing. And then to have the photograph over to the right of it and go from that to the painting, I think I really got the meaning of this ekphrastic fantastic from your work. It is amazing.
Thank you. There's a lot of great work there. This was a lot of fun for me to do, especially since over the past year, we really haven't had any opportunities to do anything like this. There really haven't been any shows or
Oh.
any way to make art in this way. So this call was really exciting to me to create something new
Mhm.
off of another image and to be a part of it with other artists. You felt like you're in the community again.
Your choice of the flowers to the left, just bringing and blending. Great.
Yeah, the idea is that that's either a cliff or a balcony. So it kind of brings something more to the forefront.
Yes. Mm. Wonderful.
Do you sketch your things out before you do them?
So my city scenes, I do, just because I need to get that perspective at least a little bit on point. I get the perspective right when I draw it, but then when I go ahead and paint it, it kind of becomes its own thing. But with these, like, for example, this painting, no, I do not sketch anything with this, just because it's so much more looser. Just having an idea. Well, I like to sit with an image for a while. So for example, back here right now, I have two unstretched canvases that I'll be painting, and it's going to be a forest scene off the Frost poem, The Road Diverged, which is one of my favorite poems because I feel like I've always taken the path unknown. So with this one back here, I will be doing a bit of sketching just to kind of get the idea of where everything needs to be. And because it's so large, but then a lot of times I just go right in and I just kind of becomes what it is. But definitely with the city scenes, I do sketch with that.
Now, where would you start with this? Where?
So with this one, I would start with the background. So when you look at the top portion of it, that's I kind of go with the whole background on that. So just going with the dark color first, moving into more of the lighter colors and shading or blending and doing all that. And then I start to go into the detailing with the water lines and then eventually ending up with the lilies, the water lilies.
Beautiful.
And I like this one because it's soft and it's,
Mm-hmm.
I like the softness of the top going into more of the busyness of the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Kind of tranquil in a way.
Mm.
Yeah, I absolutely love the colors on this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is another collection of works I've done. The close up of water lilies. That's been a little collection, and it's kind of a nod to Monet.
Mm. Gorgeous.
So this one is of a water scene with sailboats. This one was just done this past year. The thought behind this is actually on a smaller bit of paper, or acrylic paper, and my thought was to do an artist book, and I'm still working on it, but it's a little side project, and it doesn't need to be done at any time. It's just my own project for myself.
I
But
love the way you did.
Sorry.
But I love the way you did the reflections.
Yes. I was
Thank you.
thinking that too. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
this one again, I went really tried to focus on keeping it simple in the background and not overcomplicating it,
mm,
and bringing in the detail to the boats and the shadows in the water,
mm.
the reflections in the water. And I like what happened here. So the
Yes.
thought was to do an artist's book and do a collection of paintings and then bind them and then make a book out of it. And it would be a one-time thing, and maybe not for sale. I don't know. We'll see. But people loved the paintings that I was doing so much that I ended up selling them. So I have to start over again, which isn't a big problem. There's no time limit. But yeah, I love how the softness of the background and the water, and then it's just really focusing on the boats.
Mhm.
I have a question regarding like your process. So over the last like year with the pandemic, have you seen it like affect like how much you create, or like have you been more inspired during this time, or has it been the more challenges due to the pandemic? I just like want to know your thoughts on that.
Right. So when it first happened, like in March and April and going into June, I was really inspired. I thought, oh, I have all this time, and there was just so much happening, and it was just such a wild time, and nobody knew what was happening with the world. And so that was I was able to put my kind of all my fears and all of that aside by painting. So it's very much an escape from everything. And then after a while, and it was inspiring. I felt inspired. And then after a while, things kind of kept going, and there wasn't really an end to be seen. And I think I got a little bit, a little depressed, maybe a little bit down, a little bit hopeless, I guess. Not that, it wasn't that dire, but I just didn't really feel like creating. I didn't really feel like, I just wanted to get through the day and be happy. So for a while there, I wasn't really creating that much. And when I don't create, I get unhappy.
Mm.
I get kind of anxious. I need to be creating something. It makes my mood so much better. So after a while, I said, all right, Maureen, you just got to do it. You just have to get in there. And there was also the fear of going to the studio because I didn't want to, catch anything there. So I wasn't going into the studio as much. And that's when I created my home studio, and I was able, and I said, all right, let's get in, let's do some work. And that's when I actually started doing this painting, which is the art book painting. And that was I was like, all right, just do something for you. Don't do it for a show or to sell or whatever it is. Just do something for you. And that kind of woke me up and from my
Yeah.
artistic.
You use the word happening in this beautiful painting, and those boats are like a happening as I'm looking at them. They're just wonderful. How did you do that?
No, a lot of times I'll sit back and I'll go, I don't really know how I did that.
Love it.
When I'm in it, and that's why like I said, I'll start with a sketch with those city scenes, and then so I have an idea always of what I want the painting to be when I go in and start. But as you start to go into it, it kind of becomes its own thing in a way. And I don't know I'm sure a lot of people could relate to this, but you just kind of get lost in it, and your focus is just there. And it's almost surreal. And then when you get out of it, you step back and you go, huh, all right, well, that worked. Let's go back, let's go back in there.
Describe that beautifully. Yeah, the creative process, huh?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So this is a charcoal sketch, it's charcoal drawing. About 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I had still life, or sorry, a what am I thinking of? I just blanked. I had someone come in and do. We did sketching. Why am I blanking on this right now? This is how my brain works.
We all understand the blank. We
Yeah.
all, it's just a creative process looking for something.
Listen to I heard the construction outside and I just went blank. I did a class in my studio and we did it probably once a week, I believe, or once a month. I think it was once a month. And it didn't last long, but it was a few handful of classes that we did there. And it was fun. It was, you know, whoever wanted to come in and whatever they wanted to donate towards the model. And it was a way for me to get some more exercise on, thank you, Linda, figure drawing. It was a way for me to get more exercise on the figure drawing. So that's when I was working on my nudes collection. So this was a way for me to dive deeper into it and explore a little bit more.
Beautiful.
And also offer the class to other individuals. So this one is a water scene, and it's actually really big. I can't remember the exact size. I want to say it was 4 foot by 3 foot. And, this one was interesting. There's a lot going on. I think my favorite part from this one, you know, when I paint, you're up close, and there's a lot of different teeny little marks you're making. And so a lot of times I'll step back to see what it looks like back further so that I can get the full image of it. And then I go back in. The fun part about this one was that when I was working on it, something seemed to be missing. I couldn't really get that depth and the idea of those two pieces kind of going like this, that they were closer. Everything kind of seemed flat. And then I added this bit of peach coral to the part that the wood that's closest to us, and added a bit of and then added and then kind of softened it up as it went back, and that little bit kind of added that depth that I needed, so it wasn't so flat. And I think that really was exciting to me, because I was sitting there, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? And then I just said, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I did it, and I went, wow, okay, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an exciting moment for me.
Oh. Wonderful. And hard to really catch the character of the wood. I love that. I feel like I'm walking on this beautiful wood.
Great.
What you intended to be?
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
So this is a mural that I did at Urban Scroll. And the first Urban Scroll that I participated in, I believe, was 2015. I'm wrong on that date, but I think that's correct. And then I've been participating in the Scroll every year since. It's a lot of fun. It's a weekend event, and we're all sitting out there painting in the heat. but it's great. And you're just around a whole bunch of artists, Columbus artists, basically a whole bunch of friends, just creating and having fun. And this, the Urban Scrawl is actually where I met my first studio mates that introduced me to 400 and brought me into their studio. So this was really, Urban Scrawl really was the beginning of my little journey in Franklinton to establish myself as an artist.
Well, thank you for the beauty you bring to Franklinton. Artists are looking to the city from the west, huh?
Right. Yeah. And this was interesting. So I was working at this, I forget it's Nationwide Boulevard, and it's right where it goes around. There's the park right there in the water, and you can kind of see the skyline a bit. And there's this ivy that's always overflowing in the summer. It's just pretty. So I just needed to do a painting of it. So that's why I chose it for this.
Beautiful.
For this mural. And while I was creating it, AJ Vanderelli actually came up and she said, you know what, it needs like a yellow brick road to like Franklinton. And I said, all right, yellow brick road it is.
That's great.
And I really like the idea of like the little bicyclist with the flowers in the back, and while they're going, the flowers are kind of trailing out behind them. This is another painting that I did last year at the beginning of around March, and it's the book Loft in German Village. And I did this because I've always wanted to do it. I love the book Loft. And during the summer, it's just this beautiful, magical place. So I had a lot of fun with this one. It's kind of more illustrational. So, you know, it has kind of that Alice in Wonderland kind of vibe with the clock. I just think it's fun and fun little garden.
It's wonderful. I had to look at the time because it's almost the exact time on your clock that it is right now. It's wonderful. The combination of color and being there, huh? Tell us how you love to, I know you've already made reference how you love to study, but where did you get that?
Oh, well, actually, I was not a good student. I was when I was younger, but in high school, not so much. I'm a visual learner, so I don't really, traditional classroom experiences aren't really that great for me. I have a hard time with them. So I guess I've worked a little bit harder throughout the years. I love to learn. I just learn in my own way. So for me, doing it on my own is kind of a little bit more freeing for me.
Well, that's a gift to us for your art, huh? Creative learning, and then it comes out. That's why it's gorgeous.
There's a lot of, you know, just exploring, just taking a look at all the things around you, studying light. So it's also just studying what you're seeing in life. So, and a lot of times I would kind of get lost in thought, and really it's just I'm sitting there focusing on the way light is and what colors are there. So I'm always kind of challenging my brain to see what is actually there, not just the object. And this is Lindy's, the Lindy's restaurant in German Village. And this is their patio. And it is a beautiful patio.
Yes.
Again, it's another image that I just had to paint.
Gorgeous.
I love gardens. I love flowers, obviously. And I think when I was in Philadelphia, I worked for this urban jungle, and it had a rooftop garden. And when I was there, there's not a lot of greenery when you're going around the city of Philadelphia, but that was like my little oasis, my little garden area. And I think while I was there, I realized how much I missed having greenery around and flowers and things like that. So when I moved back to Columbus, I really noticed how much Columbus has. I mean, you just drive down High Street during the summer and there's those baskets of flowers, you know. So you can really kind of see nature a lot in Columbus. So I guess that's why I wanted to focus on that kind of the connection of having a city scene that could be really dark or moody, but bringing in the flowers and garden aspect of it and kind of making it more pretty.
Oh, wonderful. You know, there is this movement to bring the coastal city people to Columbus. Have you seen those ads?
No.
Oh, yeah. They're just saying, you've got to come to Columbus. And of course, my husband's from San Diego. So we're all saying, y'all come. This is a wonderful place.
It really is. I mean, we have all the things that a big city has,
That's
just
true.
not as much. So, you know, and you have, I mean, how many parks do we have within, you know, tons of different parks that you can visit, and
True.
it's
So
just
often when we've been somewhere, my friends and I would say, where else could you live where you can be at home in 25 minutes from any direction? It's true. You can go and do everything and be home
it's so true.
and not have paid $15 an hour to park.
Right.
Yeah. It's a wonderful city. Mhm. And you have brought such beauty to it here, right in the middle of the German village, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this one is the first collaboration I did with Aaron Hobgood. And he did a collection of photography where he did these girls that were kind of suspended. And this was at the beginning of this. So this was the very beginning of the lockdown. And we were both kind of struggling to make our rent for the studio because of all the shutdown and whatever, you know, all the different reasons. So I created this for the outside gallery in hopes to sell it to help us pay the rent. And it did sell, and we paid the rent for that month. But this one again was 4 foot by 4 foot and on plywood and varnished with the mural paint. I love this one.
Wonderful.
And it kind of I felt it, you know, because we were experiencing this pandemic and not really quite sure what was happening, and our lives were kind of being twisted and turned around and changed in dramatic ways. So this kind of felt like kind of out of control. Like she's kind of out of control, but at the same time, she's just being very graceful with it.
The way you answered Lindsay when she asked that question, this painting kind of says what you said. Do you agree, Lindsay?
Yeah, I do definitely agree. Like this is the hope at the beginning, and yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too. It's wonderful.
So this one is my latest water scene, and it was on the cover of the Ohio Irish American News, and it sold. But I love this one. Again, I've kind of gone into this more simplified background, really just focusing on the images, not over complicating the background so that you're missing out on, just kind of simplifying in a way. And I think this one turned out really well. It's very soft.
Gorgeous. And that interview was wonderful in the magazine.
Thank you.
Uh, you're a bit of the Irish, huh?
I am, yeah.
I was from Gort, around Galway. That's where my family's from too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went and backpacked around Ireland in 2006. And I just, on Thanksgiving, I just told my parents, hey, I'm going to Ireland. This is happening. I just bought a ticket and just left and traveled around, staying at hostels. I met a lot of people while I was there that were doing the same thing. It was fun. It was a great experience, and Ireland is so beautiful and the people are so wonderful. It was a great experience.
Yes.
This is a commissioned piece I did. It's for a client of mine that has commissioned a lot of work. She used to live in German Village. She now lives in New York City, and she wanted a commissioned painting of an image of her and her son walking down the street in German Village. And this was my interpretation of it. So it's obviously a fall day. And I love this one because of the texture that's in it. And I like their figures. I think I did a really good job of the light and definition on their figures. And I just think it's cool. I think it's cool.
And the perspective, you can just feel walking.
It's like you're behind them.
Yes.
Right.
Mo, I like how you overcomplicate things to the point where they are simplified. I mean, there's such a focal point on this, but when you really start digging in, you see the complexity of your work. And so there's never a dull moment in any portion of your paintings, but all in all, you go right to those two figures walking and you feel the love that they have between each other. I think it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Huh.
I think it also helps that I know her quite well because she's a client of mine that I've worked with several times. So I think that helps when you're doing a commissioned piece, that you have some kind of, I really like to meet people and kind of communicate with them that way. A lot of times it's just through email and it's kind of challenging in that way. But when you know the person or you've met them or you can have some kind of experience with them, it really helps to bring that into the painting.
Well, it's dear she wanted a painting from the German Village when she moved to New York, huh? A wonderful memory that she could take. Oh, that is beautiful.
So this one is upstate New York, the Adirondack Mountains at Covewood Lodge. Me and my family and Linda, actually. We've been going for about 20 years to the same place. And we go for a week and we stay in a cabin. There's no TV. There's barely a radio that works. You cannot use your cell phone. There's no reception. So it's really just an escape from typical life. And you're just on the water and you just read and enjoy. And there's this sailboat that's there every year. It comes out every year and it's this sailboat. And I just needed to paint it. So I did. And I like this one because I'm introducing different colors that I typically go for the pastel palette. And this one has more bright oranges and yellows, which I don't really kind of get into. I also like the fact that the water's dark. I usually do like blues with the water. This one's a lot darker. And then the background of the trees has a darker background, and then it kind of lightens up into those bits of brightness. But then on the right, it's really just dark. So it gives it's kind of layering, it gives some layer to it. And then there's also a bit of that fog coming in as well.
It's a perfect Big Moose Lake painting.
Yes. If you were to go to Big Moose Lake, this is it.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This one was a part of my Philadelphia series. So when I first moved back and before getting into the Columbus art scene, oh, here's Bailey. Say hi, Bailey. Before getting into the artists, the Columbus art scene, I moved back from Philadelphia and I did this collection from Philadelphia because that's what I had experienced. I hadn't really experienced anything Columbus yet because I just moved back. And this is New York, Times Square, because I had visited there several times while I was in Philadelphia just because it's so close. And I like this because with my Philadelphia series, the first paintings that I did were kind of dark. And I guess that's kind of where I was. And that's kind of how I perceived Philadelphia a little bit. You know, it's kind of gritty. And as I kept creating work, but I was being reintroduced into Columbus and exploring Columbus, my work started lightening up a little bit. And this one I really enjoy because it kind of is the beginning of my style as it is now. So before this, it was kind of dark and gritty, and I put like cigarette ash in it, and it was much more abstract in nature. This is where I started kind of getting into like the city scenes, illustrational type of work, exploring colors and kind of taking away an object of what I'm typically seeing and kind of trying to challenge my eye and my mind with the colors and loosening up a little bit. So this is like the beginning of finding my style as it is today. And I still have this painting, and I don't know if I'll ever sell it because it's that important.
What it says to you, huh?
Right.
Wow. It was brave to start in such a place.
Yeah. So this one is my mural at Gravity, Columbus, and it's on the side. I really like this one. It's a very, very good photographable mural. So people a lot of times will go in front of it and do little photo shoots or whatever in front of it just because it lends itself to that very easily. And this was a fun project to do. There were a lot of artists that were working on theirs at the same time. So we were kind of able to work alongside each other, and that's always fun. They did a second round of artists a year later, I believe it was a year later, half a year later, and they asked me to jury the second portion of artists. So that was a fun experience as well, to be on the other side and of that process.
I think your work lends itself, especially the florals, to fabric. Like you could see this as a beautiful gown or a scarf or something.
Right, and I actually am talking with another artist that makes her own. She does costume design, and she wants to do her own line of clothes. And we were talking about doing a duster and putting some of my images of flowers like this on there. And it's something, again, that will come down the road. We're both working on our own things. So this is, collabing with her is going to be when we have the time and the resources to do it. And I hope it happens. I also put this on, I did a collection of masks and had people, you could order masks and have whatever you want put on it from one of my images, from one of my paintings.
Right.
And I made one for myself with this mural painting on it, and it's one of my favorite masks.
Gorgeous.
So these are a group of kids that I taught
Huh.
for a couple of years. So the girl on the right, she was a private student, so we had our own classes together, and her mom saw that she had some talent and just wanted to kind of explore a little bit more. So we just worked on some basics, shading, shapes, and perspective and whatnot.
And this is the Korean school you taught in, huh?
Correct.
Are they
So
you?
there was it's called Jia Academy, South Korea, and the instructor, she has a home in up Arlington, and so she kind of shares space between. She goes from up Arlington to South Korea, and during the summer she'll bring these kids back, a group of kids, whoever signed up for it, whoever's parents signed up for it, and they go to different learning centers. They go to a place to learn English. They go to a place to learn mathematics, reading, and she would bring them to my studio, and we would work on our little art projects.
Oh, wonderful.
They were the best group. They were of kids, and they were always changing. Some of them always came back. Then there were other ones that kind of didn't, and other kids would come, and they were always just so polite and eager to learn, and just really cool kids.
Well, Maureen, would you believe we are coming to One Bell on the 1st of April? Coming to conclusion here. It's just been so wonderful being with you. And we could be here for more time, but because we are being recorded, it has come to 1 o'clock. We want to say thank you. This time has been wonderful. And we wish you the best in all your endeavors. You're in so many different places. What a gift to us in this city. And this Ekphrastic, fantastic exhibit is bringing us another artist 2 weeks from now. We are going to be with Ashley Pierce. So maybe you want to join us, huh? She's a mixed media artist and a muralist. So join us the 15th of April. And Maureen E. Clark. What does E stand for?
Elizabeth.
Maureen Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for being with us. Great gathering.
Thanks, Mo. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
A joy.